All right, folks, Zillow just released new data showing changes in home prices in the U.S. housing market for the month of March, and there's some very interesting trends we need to cover in this video. Particularly, home prices declined in a bunch of very, very big states in March. But first, let's look at the national trends. And nationally, we actually saw home prices go up in March, according to Zillow. Their seasonally adjusted home price index showed a 0.4% appreciation rate on average across America in March, which was the first month in the last 6 where it went into positive territory. Now, does this mean the housing crash is over in America because we had 1 month of appreciation? Of course it doesn't. If you go back to the last crash, which started in 2006, there was similar periods in the spring and summer. Back in 2007, especially, where prices were going up before they really started dropping in 2008 when the crash got bad. So in the beginning stages of a downturn, it's not uncommon to see a spring or summer market rally like we're experiencing right now. However, that market rally is not evenly distributed across America, everyone. There are certain states where prices are going up by more, whereas there's certain states where prices are still declining. If you open up ReVenture app and then go to home value growth month over month, you can see the price appreciation in March for the different states in America. What I want you guys to pay attention to is the color coding, everyone. States in red like Alabama, Arkansas, Kansas, or Michigan, prices actually went up by a decent amount in March, whereas if a state is in blue like Florida, Arizona, California, or Nevada, prices either were flat or went down. And California in particular is an interesting one. If we open up the historical price growth graph, we can see that we're now on about 9 straight months of monthly price declines in California. And if we open up the metro view, we can see those price declines are fairly evenly distributed across the state in metros like Riverside, LA, and San Francisco. Another state worth paying attention to is Florida, everyone. If we zoom in on Florida, we can see that most metros actually had a price decline in March. It was a marginal decline, very small in certain metros, but it was actually a fairly sizable decline in a place like Cape Coral, which went down 0.7% on the month. That might not sound like a lot, but if you annualize that over a year, it's close to 8 to 9%. And if we open up the graph view here on ReVenture app and look at Cape Coral price growth, we can see that, we had a huge run up in prices in 2022. Prices were growing 2 or 3% a month. And then now we're officially in this contraction period in Cape Coral, which has just started. So if you're a buyer here in Southwest Florida, prices are still going to look high. They're still going to look expensive. And you can see this decline here looks very similar to what occurred in 05-06 at the beginning of the last crash in Cape Coral. There was a big bubble and a big bust. This could be the start of another big bust occurring in Southwest Florida. Now, one thing you guys need to be aware of with Zillow's home value data is that they do what's called a seasonal adjustment on their data. And the seasonal adjustment works like this. In the months of March, April, and May, it's normal for sellers to list their prices higher and for prices to go up by more. And what Zillow does is they adjust it down for the seasonality in the spring, whereas they adjust prices up for the seasonality in the fall. And you can see that present on this graph where the orange line is actually the raw change in home prices, which was higher in March. It was 0.9% instead of 0.4%. But then you could see in the fall, the raw change in prices went down more than Zillow showed. And so really what they do with this blue line is they smooth out the variation historically in the orange line. Now, how about we look at the top 10 cities that had the biggest increase in prices in March, according to Zillow data, and then the cities that had the biggest drop in prices, according to that data. Some very interesting ones on these lists. Now, to access that data, the first thing I would actually do is go to the Filters tab on ReVenture app and limit the list to only metros with population over 250,000. Just so this list of cities we're about to see is cities that we know and recognize. Next thing I would do is go to Table View, everyone. Hit Table View if you're on the desktop version of ReVenture app. And then, bam, you have a list right away of the 10 cities that had the most price appreciation over the last month. Shreveport, Louisiana, number 1. Laredo, Texas, number 2. Kingsport, Tennessee. Scranton, PA. Trenton, New Jersey. Greensboro, North Carolina. Chattanooga, Tennessee. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Tallahassee, Florida. College Station, Texas, all had over 1% appreciation in a month, which is pretty high. And did you spot what all of those cities had in common, everyone? The cities where prices are still going up, there's a consistent trait among all of them, and that is affordability. If you go back here to table view, just look at the next column, home value. Shreveport, Louisiana is $149,000. Scranton, PA is $170,000. Greensboro is $230,000. Tallahassee's $260,000. All of those metros have prices that are cheap enough in nominal terms where they're still enticing buyers into the market, even at the beginning of a recession, even with 6.5% mortgage rates. Meanwhile, the list of the 10 cities where prices are going down can be accessed by simply hitting the sort button up here, and then all of a sudden, boom, you see San Jose, California, prices went down 1.3% in March. LA prices went down 0.8%. Las Vegas, Austin, Cape Coral, Riverside, Boise, Port St. Lucie, Phoenix, and Sacramento were the areas with the biggest price drops. And not so coincidentally, they have fairly high home values and home prices in all those markets. And I've been harping on this for a while, folks. Affordability is going to rule the day throughout this recession and housing downturn. Affordable markets are going to handle the crash better. Expensive markets are going to hit harder. And the so-called, let's just say, desirability of a metro area isn't going to be as important in influencing how home prices grow over the next 2 to 3 years, because in a recession, when people are losing their jobs and when they have to pay nearly 50% of their income for their mortgage payment and taxes, it becomes a decision of where can I afford to buy a house, period, rather than where do I want to buy a house. And the data that really makes this clear is a data point I have on Reventure app called house payment as a percentage of median income, which you can access by going to select data point and then house payment as a percentage of median income. And this data point shows you how expensive it is for a local to buy a house. So for instance, in Denver, the median income is $93,000. The typical yearly house payment is $42,000. So that's 45% house payment to median income ratio. That's too high, everyone. What about in Riverside, California? It's 53%. Conversely, if we go to some of these Midwest or Deep South markets, we could see it's 22% in Jackson, Mississippi, 23% in Baton Rouge, 25% in St. Louis, 23% in Pittsburgh. So it's still affordable for home buyers in these markets to buy homes, which is no doubt why, if we switch back to the map on price growth, they are the ones where prices are still going up, whereas the ones on the West Coast are where prices are still going down. I would encourage you all to access the data in this video for yourself by going to www.reventure.app, and you can create a free account and understand data on home prices and inventory and price growth and affordability ratios in your state, in your metro, and even down to your zip code. That's right, everyone. You can access this data down to your zip code. If you hit zip and then select the metro you're interested in, like say Dallas-Fort Worth. What do you notice, folks? Wow, we still have these zip codes near the urban areas of Dallas where prices are going up month over month. But if we head out to Fort Worth, we can see prices are going down month over month. So there's big differences between the east and the west side of Dallas, as well as if you go further up north to further down south. So post in the comment section below, what does the appreciation rate in your zip code look like in March on Reventure app? Let me know.